HCAM News is supported by our viewers and by Hopkinton Drug, located in this historic New England town since 1954. They are a multifaceted store dedicated to providing clients with an array of healthcare options.
And by Webster First Federal Credit Union, providing financial products with attentive customer service to the local families and businesses of Hopkinton. Visit us at websterfirst.com. Hello, and welcome to HCAM News. Tom Nappy at the anchor desk to keep you up to date with what's happening in Hopkinton. On this edition of HCAM News, Town Manager Norman Kamalu talks about a hearing between Eversource and the town of Hopkinton. We have the latest on Hiller Field Hockey and scenes from the Weston Nursery's Blooms, Brews, and Barbecue event to benefit the Jimmy Fund Walk. But first, here are some happenings in town you should know about. The Select Board held a meeting this past week. At the meeting, the Planning Board joined in to choose someone for the open Planning Board spot.
So that gives us 5 for Jane Moran, 1 for Miss Arno, 3 for Mr. McNamara, and 3 for Miss Chowdhury. Looks like Jane Moran, welcome aboard.
So, Mr. Chair, I think we need to formalize that vote.
The Planning Board and Select Board chose Jane Moran to fill the spot.
I'd like to have a motion to. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jane Moran to the position of Planning Board member to a term expiring at the 2020 annual town election.
That's it. Yep. That's what. Any further discussion? Just the only thing, again, thank you to all the applicants to putting themselves forward and taking a shot. So that's great. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Carries.
There was also a public hearing held on whether to approve the Greyhound Friends kennel license.
I want to support and give everybody a shot to make this happen. But I got to be clear that's why I asked the question, how many times can we revoke it? If 3 weeks from now, if I do jog by, and I see something that doesn't look right, I'm not going to be afraid to, quote, report up. I'm going to call the chair, and I'm going to call the town manager, and I'm going to call the chief of police. And maybe all heck's going to break loose 3 weeks from now. That's kind of a lousy way to start up, but that's the pressure you got to understand that we're likely going to apply to make sure this is going to play out, if it plays out at all.
You're in a tough spot. You are. If you came in as Dachshund Friends with a different name and the people in front of us probably wouldn't be here right now. But your name is not gold in the dog-loving community. And it's up to you to change it. And it's up to us as a board to monitor it. It's up to us as a town to monitor it, because there are people, I love dogs, but I'm not one of these people that feel that dogs are as important as a child. And they're passionate about it. My thought on children is they're pretty important. I'm a nurse. I'm a mandated reporter as well. If I saw something go wrong with a child, it's going to be taken care of. It's going to be reported at the very least. And that's how these people and most people in this room feel. So you're up against it. And if you're up for the challenge, I mean, we're being very honest and upfront with you. Just like Mr. Hurst said about all the liquor licenses, the bars, the liquor stores, things like that. They know. There's no wiggle room. There's no gray area.
The Select Board unanimously approved the kennel license with the following stipulations.
Section 62-7.G.B.2D of the town general bylaws, we order that the Greyhound Friends Inc. kennel license be amended to provide: 1. No board member from Greyhound Friends Inc. who served on or before the date of its closure in February 2017 shall be eligible to serve on the board without the prior approval of the Select Board after a public hearing. 2. The Greyhound Friends Board shall take all reasonable steps to prevent Louise Coleman from being present on the Greyhound Friends property, including, as necessary, taking any legal action to obtain a no trespass, restraining, or comparable court order to effect that result. And that the select board continue its deliberations to a future date.
That is my motion.
And it was seconded.
Continue to second.
Is there any more, any further board discussion before we put it to a vote? Hearing none. So, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And all abstentions? Hearing none. Carry. So you guys have your license with those stipulations. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. And thank you very much to the other side as well, for the citizens petitions, for caring enough to put something like that forward.
Town Manager Norman Kamalu sat down with us to talk about a hearing between Eversource and the town of Hopkinton regarding a construction project in town. Here are the details.
Eversource is installing an electric transmission line under South Street and West Main Street. This project does require trenching for the placement of the line. During off hours, similar to any other road project where you have openings, street openings, the trenches are covered by steel metal plates. The contractor has really been a bad neighbor.
Who's the contractor?
Forget the name. Yeah, United Civil.
Okay.
Yeah, they have failed to secure the trenches several times, causing damage to automobiles or vehicles using these roadways. And in fact, most recently, they even dug up the wrong section of the road. Instead of digging up West Main, they dug up Lambert Street.
Perfect. We use Google Maps.
Yes, and following these multiple violations, the DPW Director, John Westerling, has issued a stop work order to the contractor. And that's where we are now.
Perfect.
Yeah. The hearing was held pursuant to a notice and order to show cause issued on August 2nd, 2019 by the town's Department of Public Works to Eversource.
Eversource and the town of Hopkinton recently had a hearing. Town Manager Norman Kamalu explained why.
In that notice and order, it is alleged that excavation by Eversource and United Civil on South Street and West Main Street was not performed in accordance with the Massachusetts Trench Safety Statute and the conditions that were attached to the permit, the street opening permit issued by the town.
The major issue with the project was the steel plates that were used, the town manager explained.
There were several instances in which the steel plates that Eversource's contractor had used to cover the open trenches after their day's work became dislodged. And this happened several times. We received complaints from motorists, and in fact, one of the town vehicles were damaged by one of the steel plates. And that's why then the Director of Public Works decided to start a process for revoking those street opening permits that had allowed that work to proceed.
In a rare circumstance, Town Manager Norman Kamalu became the moderator of the hearing.
Can you explain what led you to moderating the hearing and where the process is currently at?
Yes, I was actually the presiding officer for the simple reason that John Westerling, the Director of Public Works, who normally would be the presiding officer, was actually a witness in the case. And so we had to look for and identify somebody else here in town to be the hearing officer.
The decision about the issue was made in late August.
In fact, I have already issued the decision. The decision was issued on August 27th, 2019. And in summary, here's what the decision says. Number one, I did find that the Eversource contractor had violated the town's state operating permit conditions, and therefore were at fault for what happened to the steel plates. I also found that Eversource had taken the necessary steps whenever the town had pointed out the instances when the plates became dislodged, necessary steps to rectify the issue. However, I also ruled that the Director of Public Works should ask Eversource to submit a new plan which will not include the use of steel plates to cover the trenches. And then finally, I also ordered that the record and the findings of this report be submitted to the Board of Selectmen.
All right, so is the next step for them just to kind of submit that new plan without the steel plates?
Yes.
Coming up next, we have the latest on Hiller field hockey and scenes from the Weston Nursery's Blooms, Brews, and a Barbecue event to benefit the Jimmy Fund Walk. Plus, Matt Clark has our HCAM Insider. A whole lot more ahead. Stay tuned. HCAM programming is supported by our viewers, thank you, and by Golden Pond Assisted Living, honoring resident choice, dignity, and independence. Our health and wellness focus keeps residents active. Golden Pond, state-of-the-art senior housing and healthcare services. Hiller field hockey had a few home games recently and is off to a good start on the season. Here's a look at the latest. Hiller's field hockey took on Dedham on September 6th. The game was a good defensive battle and ended in a 0-0 tie. On September 9th, the Hillers field hockey team hosted Hopedale. 4 minutes into the game, Cammie McDonald sets up Bonnie Sharma for a goal. McIntyre gets around Caroline Hurley. She'll fire it there. An opportunity. Loose ball and it's put in. Goal Hillers. 10 minutes after that, Sarah Doyle nets another one. Dale, a very good athletic school. There's a shot and it's loose and it is in. The score was 2-1 Hopkinton at the half. Just under 5.5 minutes remaining in the game, and Megan White strikes again for the Hillers. Wow. McDonald is going to feed it to Kane. Oh, and now the goaltender out of the net. Opportunity, White, shot, goal! 3-1 Hillers.
It was all set up by Sharma.
With only 30 seconds left, the Hillers add another one. Sharma. Hiller's going to keep the pressure on. McDonald with a shot. Ham shot. Goal, Hillers! Megan White once again. It was Alyssa McIntyre with the assist and Megan White with her second goal of the game. The Hillers took the win over Hopedale 4-1. The Hillers would fall in their next game on Wednesday, September 11th, 4-0 versus Westwood. Hillers field hockey stands at 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie on the season. The third annual Weston Nurseries Blooms, Brews, and Barbecue event took place this past weekend to raise money for the Jimmy Fund Walk. Here's a look. Weston Nurseries hosted their annual Blooms, Brews, and Barbecue event to raise money towards the Jimmy Fund Walk, which will take place on September 22nd. Last year, Weston Nurseries and their walkers raised over $29,000 towards the walk, and by the looks of the crowd this year, there is no doubt that the third annual Blooms, Brews, and Barbecue event raised a whole lot more.
Wings and mac and cheese. How can you go wrong here? Blooms, Brews, and Barbecue, Weston Nurseries.
Line up right now for the Jimmy Fund Walk. It's only 26 miles. Piece of cake.
And you can do half a marathon.
Oh, you can do half marathon, 10K, 5K, correct?
Correct.
10K, 5K, piece of cake.
Right.
Fun group of people.
As
And
you can see,
just do it. Like, why wouldn't you? It's for children.
Besides coming here, how can people sign up?
Oh,
So go onto our website, westernnurseries.com, and go see on our events page, the Jimmy Fund Walk. You can sign up that way too.
How's the event going? It seems more packed than I've ever
it's
seen.
awesome.
It's awesome. I think
awesome.
we've had more people than ever this year. It's our third year, and what happened today is the sun came out, and we've had very good luck because all 3 years the sun has been out. It's like this perfect fall day.
Great people, great vendors.
I think we've had 800 in the past couple of years. We might break that this year. Seems like there's a lot more people here this year. And the beer guys are selling out, and the food guys are selling out. So they're getting more food and more beer, and we're going to keep it going right till 7.
Awesome. Tremendous. Any word on how the donations are going?
I can't tell until the end of the day, but I know we're going to raise more money this year. I think
I've
last
seen
year,
a lot of people at the donation table.
Yeah, last year we did about $7,000 or $8,000. I think we'll break 10 this year. We've got sports memorabilia here, and people are bidding on those, so that all contributes toward the cause. And we've got the people from the Jimmy Fund here, and we have opportunity drawings. Seems like people are really participating more this year.
It's so nice to see you here on this beautiful day. I thought it was supposed to be a hurricane. What happened? I'm so glad it's not. We are the South Street Band. We're so happy to be here. I'm sure you guys are very happy to be here. How could you not be? There's amazing food, there's amazing music, there's amazing beer. Really, how can you go wrong with that? Come on.
What a day. I thought we were going to have some wind, some earth, wind, and some fire. But it didn't, it blew away.
We got the fire.
We got the fire, it'll blow some wind.
Please don't. Looking back on when was a little man handle. And my only word was a princess, what would be my story? Even though sometimes I can think people like the river, joy they'll bring, sweeping out the
For more information on the Jimmy Fund Walk and the fundraising effort by Weston Nurseries, head over to westonnurseries.com/events and click on Jimmy Fund Walk 2019. A whole lot of programming is coming up on the HCAM channels. Standing by to tell you all about it is Matt Clark with our HCAM Insider.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the HCAM Insider. I'm Matt Clark, and I'm here to tell you what's happening this week on HCAM. On Friday, September 13th at 5:30 p.m., the Hillers take on the Barnstable Red Raiders, live on HCAM Ed. On Wednesday, September 18th at 6:30 p.m., the Hillers girls volleyball team takes on the Norwood Mustangs, live on HCAM Ed. On Thursday, September 19th at 7 p.m., the Hopkinton School Committee meeting will air live on HCAM Ed. On Friday, September 20th at 6:30 p.m., the Hillers girls volleyball team takes on the Holliston Panthers, live on HCAM Ed. And also on HCAM Ed, the Hillers field hockey versus Dedham game and the boys soccer versus Dover Sherburne game will air. If you want to know more about all of HCAM shows before they air, then head over to hcam.tv/connect, where you can sign up for our HCAM Insider newsletter. Or if you want to know more about what's happening in Hopkinton, you can sign up for our daily news updates. That's all for this week's Insider. I'm Matt Clark, and as always, thanks for watching. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Matt. That will just about do it for this edition of HCAM News. Don't forget you can stay up to date with everything Hopkinton by checking out our website hcam.tv as well as our Twitter and Facebook page. Be sure to head over to our website for the latest happenings in our community and check out the Hopkinton Community Calendar to take a look at upcoming events in town. If you have a Hopkinton-related video, photo, or story idea, I want to hear from you. Email me at news@hcam.tv. With your help, we'll cover even more of our community. For everyone here at HCAM, I'm Tom Nappy. We leave you now with the current community listings and upcoming government meetings. As always, thanks for watching HCAM News. Take care, and we'll talk to you again soon. We're here with Hopkinton Public Health Director Sean McAuliffe. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And I understand you've been a busy man lately, especially with this triple E threat. Can you talk about the status of the triple E threat here in Hopkinton?
Certainly. So in the town of Hopkinton, we're still at a critical risk designation. Because we have one positive mosquito pool that's known to have triple E in it. That pool is up in the Saddle Hill area, and the other reason we're in that critical designation is because we've had animal cases and one human case in our region. And for those reasons, between the human case, the positive pool, and then the weather conditions, the frequent heavy rains, that's all contributed to make the potential for mosquito exposure a critical risk.
And I understand you collected a lot of data. Could you tell us about some of that data that you've collected?
So we're part of the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. So they collect weekly samples, and the State Health Department, now that we're in a critical risk situation, they also collect mosquito samples. We have 12 sampling locations throughout the town. And I'm able to go in and look at the Central Mass's data on a weekly basis in the states about every 2 weeks. And what we're seeing is that the mosquito population in town that's positive for triple E is at, it's about 290% more of those mosquitoes than were present in 2018 and 2017. So we know that we have a high mosquito population with triple E, and when I was looking at the data the week prior to the aerial spraying, out of the 192,000 mosquitoes that were trapped and submitted for to the state lab. 162,000 of those were this cattail mosquito, and that's the mosquito that's been identified with triple E in Hopkinton. And our concern is that we needed to, and the state felt that they needed to reduce that population, and that is really what triggered the state to perform the aerial spraying.
So I understand this is something that people should take very seriously. What are some of the precautions people can take to avoid any case with mosquitoes?
And this is one of the things that we really wanted to impress upon the population, or just the residents in Hopkinton, is that this is manageable. It's, we know that the mosquitoes are, they feed primarily from dusk to dawn. So you want to avoid being outdoors during that prime feeding period. So if you reduce your exposure, you're less likely to be bitten. If you use mosquito repellent, you're less likely to be bitten. If you're wearing long sleeves, long pants when you're outdoors, if you're in that dusk time, wear protective clothing like long pants, long shirts. And if we're doing all of these things, we're reducing the risk of getting bitten, and we're reducing the risk of getting infected. And it's all something that we have control over. And then if if you have other concerns or additional concerns, you can contact the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, and they can come out and they can spray your yard. I know there have been some questions about whether or not there'd be another aerial spray. That's highly doubtful, because I know going into next week, the evening temperatures are likely to be below 60 degrees, and that's not an optimal temperature for the mosquitoes to be out at. But we have published on our town website, and if you follow our tweets, we're constantly providing and pushing documentation out to the public. We just put out a notice last night about the 5th human case that was identified locally, and I suspect there'll be one more release in the next.
See the entirety of this important interview with Health Director Sean McAuliffe at our website, hcam.tv.